Good evening, everybody. I'm Tommy Barrett, and I believe that Matt Painter will be the Big Ten Coach of the Year this season.
And I'm Conner Hoke, and I believe that the men's basketball team is going to make the NCAA tournament.
Welcome, everybody. Conner Hoke alongside me, Tommy Barrett. Yes, I know this is not Scott Sage, but we have the next best thing as a replacement tonight for you guys. Let's take a little outline of tonight's Purdue Package. Remember, this is a show where we break down sports around here at Purdue, not normally through the eyes of the everyday viewer. Today we're going to talk about basketball. We're going to talk a little bit about track, and we also have a special guest joining us tonight. She is a very talented track athlete. We'll start first thing with basketball season. What do you think is going to happen? You just said that the Boilermakers are going to enter the NCAA tournament. Why do you believe that?
Well, we saw them last week pick up two big wins, one on the road at Rutgers, and then also a home game against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So just looking at the rest of the season, we've got 3 more road games at IU, at Ohio State, and at Michigan State, and then 2 more home games also with Rutgers coming to West Lafayette this time, and then also with Illinois to finish up the conference.
So how many games do you believe that we have to win to get to the NCAA tournament? I know we have 5 remaining games. I say we have to win at least 3 of them to get into the tournament.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think 20 is the magic number. And so you have to protect home court. That means you need to beat Rutgers and Illinois, and then you need to either find a win in the next 3 road games, whether that's at IU, Michigan State, or Ohio State, or you need to make a run in the Big Ten tournament.
Well, I believe that if we end up winning those games, we go 3-2, and all the other games kind of play out. There's some big games. Wisconsin plays Maryland, and Michigan State and Michigan play. Those are big games for us. We need to be able to get into the top 4 seeds to get a 2-round bye. Do you believe that we can get into the top 4, or do you think we'll be stuck at the 5 seed playing either Northwestern or Penn State?
I think a lot of it comes down to whether or not we can get a couple wins on the road. You know, if you look at all the teams that Purdue has left to play, none of the teams are invincible. Everybody has their flaws. Really, outside of Wisconsin, anybody can beat anybody in the Big Ten. And so, you look at IU's a team that's undersized. Purdue dominated them in the paint, and so I think they look on Thursday. That's where they want to try and get that last big win before the end of the season.
I couldn't agree more with you, Conner. You know your basketball, especially. I'm not going to say you know more than Scott, but guys, he knows a lot of basketball. Let's move on. Vince Edwards nominated for his 3rd Big Ten Freshman of the Week award. What does that kind of do to his confidence? He's kind of coming into his own nowadays, coming in averaging close to 10 points a game and really doing it on the offensive side.
Well, Vince has been a guy that has played extremely well all season, even just as a freshman. He's been kind of a Swiss Army knife for Purdue. He's scoring points, but he's also rebounding really well, and he's also done a great job of passing the ball. He's right around 3 assists for the season, and that's really difficult to do as a freshman, especially a guy who doesn't play guard. He's a 6'8" wing guy that isn't used to distributing the ball. And I think that Coach Painter and staff have been really, really excited about how he's played and his defense and what he's been able to bring intensity-wise.
Now, what is A.J. Hammons? A.J. Hammons this year, 76 blocks in the whole season, 38 just in the conference. A.J. Hammons having a career year, really, with 10 points. Right now, 10.9 points, and he's averaging about 6.5 rebounds per game. We've kind of seen it the past couple of games where he's had a lot of blocks, but he's not getting a lot of fouls. Last year, he would have 2 fouls in the first couple minutes, had to sit on the bench. Really, what's kind of changing with him this year?
Well, I would say that the biggest thing's been consistency. That's something I think a lot, not only the coaching staff, but AJ himself has really worked on, just trying to be consistent. And you've seen that in gameplay. You talked about he has 38 blocks in the Big Ten, and that's more than 6 teams total in the Big Ten Conference. So he's been an absolute force on the defensive end. And I think the addition of Isaac Haas has really helped him out. It gives him another big body to go against day in and day out in practice. And I think that's really helped him become a much more rounded player, and it's really improved his motor.
So if the Boilermakers can come away with 3 out of the 5 with the 2 losses, they go 3-2 in their next 5 games. Do you think that'll get into the NCAA tournament? Now, do you think they'll have to win in the Big Ten tournament? Do you think they'll have to win games in the Big Ten tournament, or do you think they'll just have to they can lose in the second round or the first round and still get in the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think that if they get one game in the tournament, that definitely helps with seeding. But I think if they take care of business at home and then can pick up a win particularly against IU or Ohio State, a team that's been ranked in in the country a couple times, and that would definitely help them significantly as far as just improving their seeding.
What is the highest possible seed you think the Purdue Boilermakers can get in the NCAA tournament?
I don't see them getting past a 2 seed or anything, or not a 2 seed, but like double-digit seed. I can't see them getting any higher than a 10.
So you think the 10 is kind of the limit that they're pushing? I believe that they'll get either 11 or a 12 seed if they're able to finish out this rest of the season. I believe that they're going to the tournament. Connor believes they're going to the tournament, so that must mean something.
Yeah, maybe.
We are broadcasters, so we are someone who is credible, I suppose. But with that, we'll take a short little break. We'll have track for you next here on Purdue Package.
We are all Boilermakers, but we're also much more. We're history makers, exploring the farthest reaches of our universe, often when strapped to a rocket. We are hope makers, rebuilders of Haitian cityscapes who ensure they'll now withstand any disaster. We are difference makers, developers of drought-resistant crops that just might end world hunger. The fact is, what we make moves the world forward. We are Purdue, makers all.
Back here on Purdue Package alongside Conner Hoke, we have track for you. Normally not a sport that we normally talk about, but CHUK ENEKWECHI, he's really been dominating. He just was named Big Ten Field Athlete of the Week. CHUK ENEKWECHI, he's a powerful guy. He can throw it pretty far.
Yeah, absolutely. And he talked about he broke his own record actually that he set earlier in his career, and so he's a guy, even as he's a redshirt junior, that's hard to imagine that he could still continue to improve, but he's been really consistent for the Purdue Boilermakers, his entire career. He went to the NCAA tournament last year, and it's just really impressive, that he's been able to continue to build upon what he's already done in a tremendous career.
His mark of 24.39 ranks second in Division I history, number 2 in the world. This guy, CHUK ENEKWECHI, he's from New York, a 5'11", 235. 5'11", 235, that's a pretty big guy. He could throw that thing pretty far. Like we said, 24.39 meters. That's pretty impressive. I can't throw that thing 10 meters.
No, I'm not even sure that I could throw a meter, so definitely impressed by his ability to throw that.
Like we said, he broke his own record. He also shattered the facility record by over 3 feet. That was in Lambert Field. That was just across the street from Mackey Arena. If you guys haven't seen track and field, I would definitely recommend. The Purdue Boilermakers this year are a force to be reckoned with in the Big Ten. Also, on the women's side, CARMIESHA Cox, she's having a phenomenal season as well. She just broke her record in the 200-meter dash, and alongside Devynne Charlton, who actually we'll be having after the break, but CARMIESHA Cox and Devynne Charlton, they're two track stars here in the Purdue Boilermaker system.
Yeah, and sometimes you forget about him because you think about Raheem Mostert is the guy who got a lot of attention last season with what he did in the Big Ten tournament and then also in the NCAA. He was a guy that a lot of people, especially towards college football, talked about him being the fastest man in college football, but you can't forget there are a lot of other great athletes at Purdue that do a tremendous job with their sport.
So with that, we'll take another short little break, but after that, Devynne Charlton, the track star, will be joining us here live in the studio here on Purdue Package.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Welcome back to Purdue Package. I'm here live with star track runner Devynne Charlton. Devynne, welcome to the show. We want to thank you for joining us here on Purdue Package. We just want to talk about, some records you've broken, where you're from, where your background is. You're from the Bahamas, correct?
Yeah.
So how did you really get to the Midwest? You know, this is a far way away from the Bahamas. How did that kind of happen?
Well, Coach Green, the head coach, he was recruiting me. Talked to my parents and all that, got me down here on a visit, and I was really impressed with the coach's connection with the athletes, and the team had like a really good chemistry in that. It was something I wanted to be a part of.
So how does someone from the Bahamas get like all the way to here? Like, is that a normal thing in track? Are people from the Bahamas recruited very well? So how did you kind of get your name out there when you're from the Bahamas?
Well, the Caribbean region in general is someplace that a lot of coaches watch, because a lot of talent comes out of there, and then so they watch the Caribbean heavily, and then certain meets, you know, they pay more attention to. And I think I was like one of the best coming out of the region at the time, so I guess I was well known.
Hey, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, so just getting recruited, yeah.
That's awesome.
All right, so Devynne, I understand that your dad was a good track athlete, correct? Mm-hmm. So did he kind of influence you as far as how you went going in track?
Yeah, he was he's actually my coach up until I came here. He was a quarter miler at Howard University, and his 4x4 team, they actually had the NCAA record for quite some time. So he definitely influences me. I want to be like him. Like, that's what I'm striving for right now.
All right, and then kind of speaking of records, you previously held the 200 record here at Purdue University, but your teammate broke that record. Mm-hmm. And so how did that make you feel? Were you happy? Were you kind of upset that you lost that record?
I guess it was kind of bittersweet. You know, when you break a record, you don't want to see it go like the next year after you broke it. It wasn't even a year yet since I had broken it, but she was a better 200-meter runner than I was, and she didn't compete last year, which is how I figured that I got to get the record before she did. So I knew it would go, but it was just a matter of time, like when would she break it.
Is it something when you're in practice, is that, you know, you see CARMIESHA, you see her running so fast, do you take initiative and you try to beat her, or do you guys race it all, or what kind of things go back and forth? Do you know, do you try to outdo her in each meet, or what kind of relationship do you guys have maybe?
We have a pretty good relationship, good friendship. At practice, it's all about just being, not about being competitors at practice. We compete at meets, but at practice we're training partners. And so what we try to do is just push each other, but at the same time we have fun. So it's not such a competitive atmosphere.
So it's not as competitive as really, you know, maybe if Shaq and Kobe were, you know, when they were on the same team, it's not kind of heads colliding. It's just kind of, you know, you push each other to do as good as you can. Yeah. That's awesome. You know, we're headed into the Big Ten championship, you know, here soon. What kind of things are you doing to prepare for that?
Well, just the same thing I've been doing all season, you know, eating right, taking care of my body, drinking water, training as hard as I can still, but getting in and out of the training room, making sure that I'm doing prehab so that I won't have to be doing rehab later on.
I mean, are you going to run in both records that you have set? You've set the record in the 60-meter hurdle and the 60-meter dash, I'm correct. So are you going to run in both of those in the Big Ten championships?
Yeah, I'm going to be contesting both of those in addition to the 200 meters as well.
Okay, and CARMIESHA is going to do that as well. Yeah. Do you think you're going to try to beat her in the 200 in the Big Ten championships?
I mean, if it comes, it comes. But she's set herself out there. She's doing great things. Really, she's on she's on a pace of her own. So she's like way out there in the 200. Like I'm nowhere near where she is.
That's not your range. Yours
no, it's
really
not.
The 60.
I like to keep it, you know, on the straightaway, 60 hurdles.
And one more question for you. You know, the NCAA championships are approaching as well. Do you think, you know, your time in the meter hurdles is good enough to get into the championships? And if so, you know, are you kind of looking forward to that step?
I'm pretty comfortable with where I am on the NCAA list right now. They take top 16, and I'm about 7th right now, I believe. So I'm pretty comfortable with that. And once I get there, just trying to make finals, looking for a big time, another PR, hopefully a national record in the process.
That's phenomenal. We never really talked to track athletes like someone of yourself as a track star, especially here at Purdue. We like to call you, but I want to thank you once again for joining us here on Purdue Package. We've loved your time.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. With that, we'll be right back with the Big Ten breakdown in 60 seconds.
That we do, and we try and
You, yeah, you. Have you ever dreamed of being on TV? Well, in the Brian Lamb School of Communication, we do more than that. You can learn about camera operation, lighting techniques, live TV shows, real client PSAs, weekly news productions, and more. For more information about the video production programs, visit our website or the advising office.
Welcome back to the Purdue Package. Devynne Charlton. Wow, what a great segment with her, learning a lot about track that we never really knew about. Now it's time for the best part of the show, the Big Ten breakdown. 6 topics, 180 seconds. Starting now, the Big Ten has 2 representatives in the John Wooden Award. Top 20 here late in the season, D'Angelo Russell and Frank Kaminsky. Will one of them win it?
No, Tommy, I don't think so. Both guys have made a great case and had great seasons, but I think it's going to go to the big guy down in Duke, Jahlil Okafor. Tommy, Big Ten softball started. Have you seen how the Boilers have been doing?
Of course I've seen how the Boilermakers are doing. Ashley Burkhart, co-player of the week in the Big Ten. Maya Hughes, freshman of the week. We've only played 1 series in the Purdue Boilermakers, looking in midseason stride. Purdue baseball also started with the Big Ten baseball. Maryland's favored, Nebraska's in second right now. Do you think one of them is going to pull it out?
Yeah, absolutely, but also I think you got to keep in mind the Fighting Illini 4-0. And then as for Purdue, 1-2 on the season, still a lot to go, but they've got some things to work on. Now, looking back at basketball, Big Ten Player of the Year and awards are coming up. Who do you think it's going to get it?
Well, we got D'Angelo Russell and Frank Kaminsky at the top because they're at the top of the John R. Wooden Award. I would assume one of them are going to win it unless someone like A.J. Hammonds or Raphael Davis from Purdue, but no, I think you got to give it to Kaminsky, the senior. He's working with his Wisconsin Badgers. They're one of the top teams in the country, if not one of the best. Now, here's the thing, the midseason All-Star game. Do you think that's something college basketball should put in and institute?
No, I think that they should put it at the end of the year. They already had 3-point contest and the dunk contest at the end of the year, but with the how everything goes in the season, I don't think it would work.
Yeah, they do something at the end of the season where they have the 3-point contest, they have the dunk contest. Like you said, off camera we talked about they don't have a lot of time to really make up if they miss a lot of practice. That's also true. Last one here, Austin Hatch. What a great story from Michigan. He was just awarded the Most Courageous Award from the USA Writers of the Basketball Association. So a great story, and Austin Hatch really one of the best stories in all of college basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. And I knew the story before it became public because I grew up around where his high school that he went to. So obviously, great story. Wish him the best and hope that he can continue to defy the odds.
We want to thank you for joining us here on Purdue Package. Another great episode without Scott Sage, though. Conner Hoke, I want to thank you for joining us here. And Tommy Barrett, Conner Hoke, we're out.